All right. So we're recording now. Taking the political compass test, which I have taken in the past before. It's a fun one. There's some things I don't like about the way it's framed. I definitely think it was written with a certain agenda in mind, but here it is. It's 6 pages long. Corbin and I are going to answer it. I've answered it once on the channel before. Corbin was going to do it on his...
Agenda.
You what now?
The only good agenda is my agenda.
There you go. Yeah, so I'm going to answer. Like, I'll read the question, and I might even look up definitions if I need to, because there's, like, one of them where I want to make sure I'm not answering in a way that... You know what I mean? There's one specifically that I had to look up the word just to make sure I knew the exact definition, specifically in regards to protectionism. We'll get back to that. That's in regards to global trade. That's a later question, though. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll start. If economic globalization is inevitable, which I don't think it is, I disagree with that premise, but okay, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Now, this is one I'm going to slightly agree on, like just regular agree, because I do think it should serve humanity, but I think serving those corporations could very well serve humanity, so I don't think that's necessarily mutually exclusive. But I'm still going to slightly agree, because I do think, in a sense, like, if we had globalization, it should, theoretically, for sake of argument, serve humanity. But again, I don't like the question.
Yeah, I don't think the question makes sense at all.
Yeah.
It should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. But transnational corporations are supposed to serve the interest of humanity, so that's...
Right. Like, I don't like big corporations, so that's why I still slightly agree.
Yeah, that's what I would pick. Yeah.
So you're picking agree as well?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I'm going to strongly disagree with that.
Disagree.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page. It's not, like... I love the idea of what my country stands for when it was founded and the idea of freedom and all that. But if it went against those values, I would not support it.
Which it currently does.
Yeah. All right. No one choose... Go ahead.
Huh? No, you read the thing.
Okay, I was going to say, no one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I'm going to strongly disagree with that, too.
Yeah, that's retarded.
Because
what does it mean to be proud, though?
Well, that is a question. But I don't think, like, I think it's...
Because I always thought of it as I'm proud of my own accomplishments. I'm not really proud of anything that I didn't do myself.
Okay, but I don't necessarily think this means literal pride. I think it's in the colloquial sense, where you have some form of patriotism, which I think can be a very good thing. I think that as long as you're standing for the values rather than just the landmass, which America is a country of values, which is why I disagree with the idea of it being foolish to be proud of it.
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Yeah, I'm gonna say disagree.
You're gonna regular disagree then, right? Is that what you're...
Yeah.
Okay. I did strongly disagree, so there we go. All right, Corbin, this is one that's gonna get you in trouble, I think. Our race has many superior qualities compared to others.
Strongly agree.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of agree, but not because I think that ours is inherently superior.
I don't think that whites are the best race, but I do think that we have a lot of superior. I think all races have superior qualities.
Exactly, I'm the same way. Like, I think that every race has its ups and downs. I don't think that one is inherently completely superior to another, but I do think that other ones have superior quality. Like, they each have superior qualities to each other. Like, black guys have better lung capacity. They're typically more prone to... Yeah, exactly. Because this could be answered by a black guy, too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, anyone could take this test. It could be an Asian. Could be anybody. All right. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Strongly disagree. I don't think just because you have a common enemy means that you're going to want to side with someone and consider them a friend, especially. I think that
Slightly disagree.
You're going to slightly disagree?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I think with me, it's just like...
I still think if somebody hates the same people I hate, that's still a connection that I can use to my benefit.
Sure, I agree with that. I just don't believe in giving them trust because it's a good way to get stabbed in the back. Like it's like the U.S. teamed up with Stalin in World War II.
I don't think you should trust anyone.
Well, I agree with that, but I think we teamed up with Stalin in World War II, and then we had the Cold War against him for after that. So it's like, you know what I mean? All right, military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Strongly agree. I think with international law, that's the whole point of war. Military action always inherently violates some sort of international law. So I think, and again, it's that sometimes that makes me strongly agree, right? Because it's sometimes justified, not always.
Yeah, I would say strongly agree.
All right, now, there is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I'm going to strongly agree with that. I'm going to say that's mainly going on, like, the propaganda in Hollywood, right? Like, a fusion of information and entertainment.
I would say lightly agree, because I think information and entertainment should be connected, just not the way that they currently are.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think that there's always going to be some form of it put together, but I do think right now, like, there is now a worrying fusion. I think that's what gives me the strongly agree there. But yeah, that's fair. All right, next page. Okay, people are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. I'd agree.
True. Strongly agree.
And I'm just going to lightly agree, because I do think there is differences in culture, too, that are divisive. But I do think ultimately class is more of an issue than nationality.
Yeah.
All right. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I'm going to lightly disagree because I think they're both important. I don't know how much control you can necessarily have over unemployment. I mean, creating jobs and, also getting rid of jobs is what causes unemployment. So, I mean, I think that they're both important to control, and I think they go hand in hand. So I think it is kind of a false dichotomy to try and claim that one is more important than the other.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say disagree.
All right. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment. Again, the framing of this, you can tell this test was written by a leftist. They require regulation. Okay, this one is one that's very tough for me. Because ultimately I don't like regulation. And I also don't really give a shit about the environment. So...
And the question's just wrong.
Yeah, I don't like the question, so I'm going to slightly disagree.
The question's just wrong.
Yeah, the question is wrong.
Because Tesla left California because they weren't green enough for California.
Yeah.
So, put that into it. Like, think about that. They're the ones making the best electric cars out there. And
yeah.
They were too environmentally damaging for California.
To be fair, electric cars
are terrible for the environment.
Yeah, because they're made in factories that produce way more emissions than any car.
Well, yeah, it's because you can't ever get rid of the battery.
Yeah.
But we also power them with coal rather than nuclear. If we charge them with nuclear, it makes them probably better.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna slightly disagree with that question. Mainly because I don't like the premise of the question.
Cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment.
Yeah. Like
I just disagree that they require
regulation.
Is that? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing. I do think that, our impact on the environment can be a very bad thing, but I also think it's overplayed. I think it's ridiculous to think that corporations wouldn't try to protect the environment, at least to some degree, because some of them absolutely do. There's plenty of companies that voluntarily do Go Green programs, which are usually a big virtue signal anyway, but you know what I mean? I reject the premise of the question.
A lot of it's also tax write-offs.
Yeah, that too. It's also tax write-offs.
Oh, this is a great question coming up.
Oh, yeah. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. Get the fuck out of here, commie. Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Yeah.
I don't even understand that.
That's the communist motto.
This is the best question, though. I like this question.
We'll get to this one.
I don't even understand
So-
the question.
So what the question is from each according to their ability, right? So everyone works according to how their ability, their own ability, to each according to their needs. So they give the fruits of their labor to anyone who needs it.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I work for my own goddamn
Yeah.
shit.
Like again, that's the whole premise behind communism. Fuck commies. The freer the market, the freer of people. Strongly agree.
Totally agree.
Yeah, obviously. Capitalism all the way. Free market capitalism specifically. It is a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled branded consumer product. Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Like, if there's a demand for it, then that's fine. If you don't like it, drink the shitty water out of a fucking river.
Yeah, because if somebody has to put in the effort to clean it, bottle it, distribute it, it has to be paid for.
Yeah. Stop being a bitch. And besides that, if you go to a restaurant, you can get water for free.
90% of the time, yeah.
Yeah. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Strongly disagree, too. Yeah, you didn't even let me finish the question, because, again, it's a stupid question.
It's fucking more commie bullshit.
Yeah, it's commie bullshit. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. I'm going to slightly disagree, because I do think it is kind of annoying that there's Wall Street people who take advantage of that sort of shit, but I also don't think there's inherently a moral problem with it.
Play the system.
Like, I think if the system's in place and somebody plays it to their advantage, good on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm only going to
I would
slightly
say
disagree. Because I do... You what now?
I would say slightly disagree, yeah.
Okay, so this is the protectionism one. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Let me look this one up. Okay, the theory or practice of shielding countries' domestic industries from foreign competition by taxing imports. Yeah, I'd agree.
I agree with that.
Like, I think tariffs and stuff like that can be necessary.
I know of a few companies that I hate because they get tax-free zones and bullshit like that.
Yeah, I think protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade, yeah. So I agree. I don't strongly agree, but I agree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Disagree. I don't think that's the only responsibility. It is definitely a responsibility, but I don't think it's the only responsibility.
Yeah, I would say disagree.
The rich are too highly taxed.
Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, I would say strongly disagree that it's the only social responsibility of a company would be to deliver a profit to shareholders. Because I think more importantly, it's to provide
Goods.
something that people want to buy.
Yeah, that's true. All right, the rich are too highly taxed. Strongly agree. The rich pay most of our fucking taxes.
Yeah.
Like, their percentages are like, they pay a ridiculous amount.
Also, I think it's crazy to
I think taxes are wrong.
take
so
money back that
everyone's-
you already gave someone.
Yeah.
Taxes are wrong, so everyone's too highly taxed.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Taxation is theft. So, I mean, I'd strongly agree with it, even if the question was the poor are too highly taxed. Everybody's too highly taxed because taxation is theft.
Yeah, but the rich are definitely taxed a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. Those with the ability to pay should have higher access to higher standards of medical care. Agree, strongly agree with that.
Strongly agree.
Because, like, I think that if you have the money, and, like, let's say you have something that needs to be treated, but it's not necessarily something emergency, but you want to pay a little extra to get it done quicker and more highly done. If you have the money for it, you should absolutely have access to that.
It cheaper.
Yeah.
When people can pay more to go faster, it makes all medical cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Strongly agree. I do think again, based on the, I'm actually only going to slightly agree. Based on the premise that governments currently exist, I do think one of the primary purposes would be if they are misleading the public, like they say, take this chocolate and it will cure cancer, then yeah, they should probably be penalized for that. So I'm going to slightly agree, mainly because I don't like the idea of government in general, but since the government does exist, I do think that should be a purpose of it.
A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator and multinationals to create monopolies.
Okay, now this is one that's a little, again, I don't like restrictions, but the thing is I do feel like most monopolies, in fact, every monopoly, has been at least somewhat supported by the government.
All the current ones are.
Well, every monopoly ever.
Yes. And 100% the current ones are.
Yeah.
Like, you can look at the fucking companies that own oil, own fucking...
So, this one's a little bit harder for me to answer. Because I do think...
Definitely against monopolies.
Yeah, I'm against monopolies too. But I think the way you deal with that is competition, not restrictions.
Yeah.
I do think competition is important. But on the other hand, I do think companies like Twitter and Google should have certain restrictions in place, again, with the current system we have, because they're not currently following up to certain rules with, like, say, Section 230. They're very, like, picky about who they censor and stuff, so I'm going to slightly agree. And also, it's predator multinationals, too, so it's like, again, I think agree is probably the strongest one for me on that, just regular agree.
Yeah. I'd say regular agree.
Alright, next page. Alright, this is an easy one. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly agree.
Strongly agree.
I do think that if the baby is already dead, that's a different thing, but I'm just basically
That's
assuming
not
that's
an
included.
abortion, Ed.
Yeah, that's not an abortion at that point. That's
a miscarriage.
yeah.
At any point when that happens, I consider it a miscarriage.
Yeah. That's fair. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, Corbin. I think this is one we're going to disagree on. Disagree.
I'm going to say lightly agree. I think that we should want to rehabilitate people when we can. But at the same time, if somebody personally screws you over, I think you should be... if somebody takes from you, I think you should be allowed to take from you.
I think revenge is a dangerous cycle, so that's why I'm slightly disagreeing.
Revenge can be pretty fun, though.
That doesn't mean it's a good thing.
If it brings me pleasure and joy, I'm pretty sure it's a good thing.
No. I don't think we can agree on that. And I think it'll bring you pleasure and joy short term and not long term.
Yeah, that's fair. Alright. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive a commercial basis. Strongly agree.
Yes.
Again, taxation is theft, and also, if these theaters and museums can't make it, why is that my problem?
It's not.
Yeah, strongly agree.
Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Strongly agree. I'm all for homeschooling, and I think that the current school system is an indoctrination center, so...
We need fucking school voucher cards. If we're gonna keep paying taxes for schools, which we shouldn't do in the first place, we have to have school choice with voucher cards.
I agree. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people keep to their own kind. I'm going to disagree.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I think it's like segregation, so obviously I disagree. I don't know if I guess I would strongly disagree. I do think people do tend to stick to people that are similar, but I'm going to strongly disagree that it's better for all of us.
I wouldn't say strongly disagree, because I think if you want to make some place for people, if you have the ability to make a place only for people like you, I think you should be allowed to do that.
Are you okay with women's sports excluding men?
Yes.
Okay, then you don't strongly disagree.
Well, but the question is, but it is better for all of us.
Oh.
That different sorts of people keep to their own kind. So that's why I put...
Ooh.
Yeah. It's the phrasing there.
It's worded stupid.
Yeah.
It's worded
That's why I'm saying
really
lightly
stupid.
disagree, though, is
because of the point I made?
I mean... Well, I mean, I'm just saying lightly disagree because it says say for all of us, but still, like, the idea.
Right, and to be fair, I do want, like, prisons to be segregated by sex as well, so... I think I'm still going to strongly disagree just because of the phrasing, but, yeah. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Strongly agree. Corporal punishment is absolutely...
I would say lightly agree.
Okay. But I think, like, as long as you don't go overboard and it's for a good reason, I do think physical discipline can work.
Yes.
I think that physical discipline can work, but I think there's a lot of I think that it should be for when kids show when kids do something that's definitely wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'd agree.
I think that some parents definitely spank their kids too much.
Well, yeah,
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
But let's say a kid kicks their 80-year-old grandmother. Should they get smacked in the face for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, and that's what you don't want to overdo it either, because if you make them too used to it, it won't have any effect.
Sometimes, like, people slap their kid because their kid said a bad word. Like, I don't
That's
think
not
that really
okay.
equates.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. But like, again, it's the sometimes part, right? Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. That's why I strongly agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna say lightly agree.
Okay. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Yeah, that's absolutely natural. Strongly agree. I think kids do that all the time.
strongly agree.
Yeah. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Strongly agree. I think all drugs should be legalized.
Strongly disagree.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I believe that, Corbin.
Yeah, of course, Corbin, yeah.
Ugh.
I'm sure you
Get
disagree.
that nasty stuff off the streets.
Uh-huh. Okay, Corbin. You're a funny jokester.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. The prime function.
No.
Well, the thing is I think it is important.
Yes, but that's what it
I
started out
strongly
as. That's
disagree.
why,
Personally.
that's why our schools are designed like a factory, where you eat on the bell, you go to class on the bell. It's already designed like that, and it's a bad thing.
And
I don't like that. I don't think that we should. I think schools should teach a large. I think the schools should teach many different perspectives and not just teach kids how to work.
Right, but like, for instance, college I think should absolutely be primarily to find jobs.
Yes, but normal school needs to teach lots of different things because, for one, they have to know history so it's not repeated.
Well, yeah. But again, this is it the prime function?
They also need to be taught how to form their own rational conclusions.
Yeah, the Socratic method absolutely needs to be taught. And I do think, to an extent, it does need to instill actual good morals. Like, ones that we actually had the country founded on, not bullshit fake morals like we have now that are taught.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think objective morals should be taught, like don't hurt people, don't murder, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think to me, like, all evil is people forcing people. I would say it's like people taking from you, because like killing you is taking your life. Raping you is, I would say that's kind of taking from you in its own way. Also, murder is taking. I mean, stealing is obviously taken. That's literally theft.
Yeah, I guess I will slightly disagree with the jobs being the prime function. I do think it is an important function. But I don't know if it's necessarily more important than any of the other functions.
Up until college, I don't know if it needs to be the prime function. In college, it should be the prime function.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, Corbin, this is going to be an interesting one. People with serious disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Strongly disagree.
I agree.
I figured you would. But I also don't think that we should have a right to tell people who can and can't reproduce.
Are you saying survival of the fittest?
But if it's literally going to be bringing somebody who's going to have like a horrible life into this world, I don't know.
Right, but is that our call to make? Are we the arbiter on that? Is the state the arbiter on that? I figured you would.
Do you trust the government to do that, though?
I mean, like, I don't trust the government to do like anything.
And to be fair, this is mostly on where you stand on a moral ground, I would think. So I think him saying he slightly agrees is more in tune with his morals, because Corbin and I have had discussions similar to this. That's why I'm like, this is going to be an interesting one, All right, the most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Disagree. I don't think that's the most important thing.
Disagree.
To accept discipline? What are we training our fucking kids to be?
That's fair. Yeah, like I don't.
What the fuck is that's stupid.
That's fucking. This person should be investigated, right?
Yes.
Learn to accept discipline. That's insane.
Like, I do think children need to learn lessons from their mistakes, but accept discipline. What the hell, right?
Like, that's not okay.
There aren't. Okay, this is what I know we're gonna agree on. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Yeah, there are absolutely savage cultures.
Yeah. I actually think we should bring back the words. We should start using the words savage and primitive again.
Yeah. All right. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Agree. In fact, strongly agree.
Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not. Yeah, strongly agree.
Yeah, like, why should we have to prop someone up who's too lazy to fucking prop themselves up?
Yeah, that shouldn't be an obligation for anyone.
Yeah. When you are troubled, it is better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I'm going to disagree. Like,
Strongly disagree.
I think it can be good to have a little bit of escapism to relieve some of the stress, but I think ultimately you have to face your problems.
I don't like escapism. I think escapism is bad. I think if you are in a bad situation, you should understand how bad the situation you're in is.
Right, but I also don't think you should wallow.
I think if you make it lighter, you're not going to treat it correctly.
I disagree. I think that levity can make things a lot more calm. Like, when you make light of something, when you make jokes of things to help you cope with it, I think that's perfectly natural.
That's fine.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's what it means, though.
Well, I just think that, like, there is, like, I still disagree. I think ultimately you should face your problems.
Like, I don't think you should pretend that things are better than they are.
I think you should make the best of things, though, and that's why I'm going to disagree slightly, but not strongly
I'll say lightly disagree.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at as well, is lightly disagree. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated into their new country. Strongly disagree.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that escape communism that become part of America really well because they hate communism. Yeah.
They're the best. They're the best ones. It's their children.
Yeah, strongly disagree. Like Ayn Rand, she adopted the American style pretty well.
Oh yeah. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Again, it's that always that makes this a difficult question, because what's good for the most... I'm going to disagree. Like, I'm not going to strongly disagree, but I do think corporations can have things that are detrimental to us.
They shouldn't put always in any of that.
Yeah.
What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good. Obviously, like, when they say always like that, it's going to make me want to disagree.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of it as in this person making the test is biased.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Asking it in a way that's... Because I do believe that what is in the benefit of corporations typically is what is in the benefit of people.
I would agree with that, too, but I think the always there is, like, I'm going to have to lightly disagree.
Not always.
Yeah.
It's definitely not always.
That's what I'm saying, lightly agree, because I think to say strongly agree would be to agree that it... I don't know. Like,
that's fair.
Because if I lightly agree, I think that implies that I definitely don't think it always does.
I think we're more or less on the same page. We're just answering differently. Which is fair.
Yeah.
No broadcasting institution, however independent, should receive public funding. Strongly agree. The news should not be funded by the government. At all.
It shouldn't.
Yeah. Strongly agree.
Next page. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Strongly agree. Fuck the Patriot Act.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all arguments that delay the progress in a democratic political system. I'm going to strongly disagree. I don't believe that we should have one-party states. Like, I don't necessarily think a democratic system in itself works. I think you need checks and balances on that, too, because we don't want mob rule. But I don't like the idea of a one-party state. I mean, look at California.
I would say
think parties should exist, period.
Yeah. No, I don't think parties should exist, period, either. But, yeah. Although the electronic age makes surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. No! Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Yeah. Fuck Big Brother.
Everybody should have privacy.
Yeah, and everybody should be worried that we don't.
Yeah.
The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. All right, Corbin. Disagree.
Ooh. Well, I mean, it should be an option for the most serious crimes. Definitely, I would say agree. I wouldn't say strongly agree because, like I said, I think people should be redeemed, but at the same time,
during the act.
If killing somebody is such an objectively evil thing to do, I don't know.
Right. I'm gonna disagree. Just regular disagree, because I don't like the death penalty. In fact, maybe I'll strongly disagree. I really don't like the death penalty. And I don't trust the state to carry it out. So yeah, strongly disagree.
You can kill someone during the act of them doing that?
Yeah. We had this discussion for a while on that shit show we recorded yesterday, and me and Corbin disagree at least a little bit on the death penalty. So what are you lightly agreeing, Corbin? Is that where you're going?
Yeah, I'm lightly agreeing.
Yeah, I kind of figured. All right. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded.
No.
I'm going to disagree.
Yeah,
Like
I slightly disagree.
Yeah,
I
same.
think leaders are important.
Yeah, I think leaders are important. I do think in nature we are kind of hierarchical, but so I think that it's bound to happen to some degree, but I don't necessarily think we always have to have people who obey and command. I don't agree with that. So yeah, slightly disagree.
I won't say it.
What?
I won't say what came to my head. We're good.
Okay.
Just keep going.
Okay, Kyler. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Agree. There's a lot.
I disagree.
Okay. I think there's a lot of people who do shit and call it art. Like, that guy who knocked over a urinal and said, "This is art."
I smeared shit on the wall.
Abstract
It's
art. But what is?
Abstract art is art that doesn't have any, like, purpose. It's art that's like, you see, this is too complicated for you to understand. You see, it's abstract.
Then I could literally crap on the ground and
Now it's
so I'm going to say agree.
In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Disagree. In fact, strongly disagree.
I would say strongly disagree.
Yeah, same. Yeah, because I think rehabilitation is way more important. It is a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. I'm going to lightly disagree because I think you should always try to rehabilitate criminals. But I do think there are some people who don't want to be rehabilitated, so that's why I'm only lightly disagreeing.
It is a waste of time to... I wouldn't say it's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate.
Right. Exactly. That's why I'm lightly disagreeing. Because I don't think it's a waste of time to try and rehabilitate them. But ultimately, I know there's a lot of criminals who don't want to be rehabilitated. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I'm going to lightly disagree because I think they're both very important.
The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer. I would say agree.
And that's fair. I thought about that too, but I'm going to lightly agree, or lightly disagree rather, because I think that they are both very important. I do think to an extent, like in a practical sense, business person and manufacturer are more important.
I think writing and art encourages the other.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that I disagree slightly, because I don't think one necessarily will exist without the other.
Yeah, I think that the culture has to embrace something for it to really keep going.
Yeah, so what was your answer on that?
Lightly agree.
Alright, fair enough. Mothers may have their careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Agree.
Yeah, I agree. I strongly agree.
Yeah, I think I do too, actually. I think that it, like, them entering the workplace and trying to act like men is what led to a lot of the problems we have now. Like, ultimately, we each have our roles and they rejected theirs.
Yeah.
Alright, now this one, I think it's probably true. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I would strongly agree, because there's a lot of third world countries that get exploited by big multinational corporations.
Oil.
Yeah, oil.
I'll say lightly agree because I don't know a lot about it.
Fair enough.
Earth materials.
Yeah. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Strongly disagree. Fuck the establishment. All right. Next page.
Holy fuck, how long is this fucking thing?
We're on page 5 of 6. All right. Astrology accurately explains many things. Disagree.
What the fuck are they even talking
Strongly
about?
disagree.
Like, I think I'm only lightly, I'll say strongly, because anything is coincidence if it does accurately predict it, so.
Yeah.
You cannot be moral without being religious.
Strongly disagree.
I'm going to lightly disagree because I think religion was a very important thing of the moral foundation of our country, but I do think there are plenty of atheists that are moral.
I think there were lessons in religion, that in religions that were really good. But I think people that are moral only for their religion, I don't really.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I do agree with that. But I'm only lightly disagreeing because I do think Christianity was a very important part of setting up our current moral framework in the U.S. and the West in general.
I get that.
Yeah. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Strongly agree. I'm not a big charity guy, but I definitely think charity is way better than government, Social Security benefits from the taxpayer.
For the sheer fact that the government controls it,
right?
And now people just manipulate it.
But I do think
I don't like charity, but I like donating to things that you actually care about and will use.
Yeah, and I think that voluntary charity is way better than, tax-funded Social Security benefits.
Yeah, I'm going to say strongly agree.
Some people are naturally unlucky. I'd agree, luck is, not necessarily a real concept, but I do think there are people who tend to have the shit end of the stick.
Yeah, I think most people that have the shit end of the stick, though, it's because of their own actions.
Yeah, but I'm gonna lightly agree that some people are naturally unlucky.
You can be born with a shit
I'm lightly
hand.
disagreeing.
Fair enough.
Angela, you can be born with a shit hand and end up being the richest guy on the planet.
That's true. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Strongly disagree.
No, that's not the school's job.
Yeah, I strongly disagree.
All right, sex
That
out.
would be indoctrination.
You what?
That would be indoctrination, I think.
Yeah, it would.
Which is what's happening now.
Yeah, and it basically already is religion in school. It's just leftism is a religion, effectively. It's just a non-theistic religion.
Yeah.
Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Lightly disagree.
I'm saying strongly disagree.
Yeah, you know what? So am I.
What is it?
Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. I think there's a lot of immoral stuff.
Can I just stay neutral on that?
Right.
Is there a neutral?
No, I'm
answer?
gonna strongly disagree too. Because I.
Oh no! Next question.
Yeah, I know we're gonna have slightly different answers on this, Corbin, but a same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I agree, lightly. I don't think they should be first choice, but I think that if they meet the criteria and they definitely have a good relationship and they could be good to the child, I think that.
I lightly agree as well.
Yeah, I don't think they should be excluded, but they shouldn't be first choice. I think male and female couple, actual men, women together, I do think they are the ideal.
The child.
But I think 2 men and 2 women can work, so I don't think they should be excluded, just not first priority.
I lightly disagree because a same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded. Okay, so I disagree because I don't. I think there is exceptions. That's why I'm not going to say strongly disagree. I think there are exceptions. I think there are homosexual couples that can raise children effective in a good way. But I think most same-sex couples are not compatible for taking care of a child.
Right. No, that's fair, but I think that if they meet certain criteria and that they're they're not the first thought, I think that it's fine. Anyway, pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population.
Agree.
Yeah, strongly agree. I have no problem with porn. Yeah. Porn, it's not healthy, but I don't see any moral problem with it. Because, again, we do all sorts of unhealthy things. We have bad diets.
I think it should be a lot. I don't think it should be as easily accessible to children as it is.
I think that children are gonna find a way to get to it regardless. I think parents need to keep an eye on that.
Corbin, it's the parents' job.
Hence why I don't think kids should be allowed on the internet until they hit at least 13. And
but parents don't. But parents aren't restricting the kids on it.
True, but that's not our problem. That's theirs.
Fault. That's the parents' fault.
Yeah.
It's not our job to protect their kids.
Right, but we gave the same answer anyway, so it's not like we're arguing from the same point. But yeah. What goes on in the private bedroom between consenting adult is no business of the state. Strongly agree.
Yeah, strongly agree.
I lightly agree.
Okay.
So you think the government should be allowed to go, in some cases?
Yeah, especially the business of the state. That makes it so easy to strongly agree.
Between consenting adults, there's no business of the state. I don't know, because isn't there some forms of sexual degeneracy so bad that it negatively affects not just those No, maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah. That's why...
The government should not...
Yeah, the government should not be involved in people's sex at all. Anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, Corbin, here's another fun one. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Disagree.
No one can feel naturally homosexual. I agree.
I think that...
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but, well, I mean, I think there's something wrong with it in that it doesn't benefit it. I don't think it benefits anybody to be gay.
Right.
I would say that there's more disadvantages to being gay than there are advantages, so I wouldn't say that it's...
Right, no, I'd agree with Milo on that, too. Like, that was the thing Milo said, is if he could not be gay, he wouldn't be, and now he's not. Now he's ex-gay. He treats it like a drug addiction.
Yeah, but...
But he had trauma in his childhood, so I don't think he's naturally homosexual.
Right, but the thing is we don't really know what all the root causes are, and I think there can be multiple root causes, so... I think yeah, well, even if it is a mental disorder, I think it could be natural.
Statistically, they do have...
Okay.
They statistically usually have either really traumatic childhoods or they were mostly raised by a female parent.
Yeah, no,
I would say...
I think that there are multiple contributors, but I do think nature can be a contributor. Like, they could be naturally born that way, I think. So that's why I'm going to slightly disagree.
Also, I mean, I don't think they could be born that way, because I don't think you're born any kind of sexuality. I think that happens over time.
No.
I mean...
I don't know.
I kind of agree with Corbin to an extent.
Yeah, but men are born with testosterone, and that's...
Yeah, no, I think you are born naturally to be more... Most people are born naturally to be attracted to the opposite sex. But I do think that there are other factors. Anyway, these days openness is about sex has gone too far. Strongly agree. Look at fucking... Yeah, drag queen story hour, rainbow dildo butt monkey, that kind of stuff. All the shit they try to push on kids, yeah. All right, ready to see where we stand? All right, so I am currently... Is that me? Damn, I'm way more right than I used to be. Yeah, I used to be, like, right here. Now I'm 3.3 right. And
I used to be slightly on the... I think I used to be slightly on the left side of the line.
Yeah, and I'm 4.31 on the libertarian. I'm 4.31 a libertarian.
Your political compass, economic, left/right.
There we go. All right, so I've got us side by side on here in Paint. So I am 3.13 to the right, and I'm 4.31 to libertarian. So I'm slightly less to the right of you, but slightly more libertarian, because you're 3.63 to the right and 2.97 libertarian.
Huh.
So we're pretty similar.
So you're more libertarian and I'm more right?
Yeah. So you're more right-wing, but I'm more libertarian, apparently, according to this test.
Well, I guess that makes sense. My brain is mostly filled with right-wing stuff.
As is mine, but I'm definitely...
I mean, I just...
Yeah, and I'm going to pull up another one, too. I'm going to add my old results and see how different that looks.
So that means I'm more... Does that mean I'm more authoritarian than you?
Yeah. Slightly. I'd say you're more conservative than me, is the way I'd word it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's more accurate than authoritarian, you know?
I think there are a lot of good arguments for conservatism.
So yeah, my old results from 2020, so 2 years ago, were I used to be 1.75 to the right and 3.49 3.49 libertarian. So I've actually become both more right-wing. I've become a lot more right-wing and a decent amount more libertarian. So I've gotten more right-wing and more libertarian. So that's pretty cool.
I definitely got a lot more right-wing libertarian, because I think the last time I took this, I wasn't even on the right side of the line.
Yeah. But there you go. Anything else?
Well, I don't know if I'm more or less libertarian, though.
Yeah. So yeah, I think definitely been an interesting shift. So yeah, anything else you want to add before I end the video?
seriously need to do something about the disgusting homosexual degeneracy in this country. We really just need to make it straight up illegal.
In Minecraft.
Hey, man, let's go home.
Curry sauce all over your anus. Delish.